So the Bible said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It takes faith to believe that what God has placed inside of you is real, no matter if it makes sense to you or if it makes sense to anybody else. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a spoiler alert. My guest today, Bishop Ronnie Crudup, he is a household name. In fact, he's a Mississippi treasure. He's a national treasure. He is the epitome of what can be done if you trust God and not necessarily even trusting yourself. Maybe God has placed something inside of you that you believe it is just so impossible to accomplish. He's going to speak to that. He's going to encourage you. I encourage you to join us because you'll be, my goodness, you'll be inspired by his testimony. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm Josh Trim with Pennington and Trim Alarm Services. We firmly believe in offering the latest and greatest in camera and access control technology. With the Alarm.com platform, we're able to offer a user-friendly and fully integrated service to do just that.
We're a light that shines your way. Let us in and you will find security and peace of mind. Pennington and Trim. Gonna keep on now.
Hey, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. I say this every week because I really, by the way, did I say really? I really want you to get it. I appreciate you joining us every week, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday across our various digital platforms, our terrestrial platforms, to Defining Moments. I know that you're involved. I know that you're busy. I know that you could be doing other things. But the fact that you land here for 60 minutes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 to 12, I appreciate you. My motivation is that you are inspired, that you are encouraged. And yes, if necessary, that you're challenged, that you're challenged to embrace your divine purpose and live it with a spirit of excellence, knowing that you are not here accidentally, you're not here incidentally, but you've been providentially created by God himself to be here. Only you have your fingerprint. Only you have your DNA. And God has a work for you to accomplish. Well, I'm not going to have a long monologue today because of my guest. I am so excited. I'm not going to try to make him out to be something that he is not, but that there are people that you have just a tremendous amount of respect for, not with all of their accolades, because he has plenty of those, but because of the way they walk before you. They don't talk much. He talks a lot because of his ministry calling, but the way they walk before you with a level of integrity, a high level of integrity and a high level of character. So I am highly honored. I am grateful. I am blessed to have my friend. He is a household name. He is a treasure to the nation, Bishop Ronnie Crudup. I'm not going to read his entire resume, his body of work, because if I did that, we'd be here for 10 hours. All right. And then he would chastise me off camera as well. But at least, like, for those of you who may not quite know who he is, to be introduced to my friend, Bishop Ronnie Crudup, Ronnie C. Crudup Sr. He is the founder and senior pastor of New Horizon Church International in Jackson, Mississippi, which he founded in 1987 with a congregation of over 3,500 members. It is one of the most engaging, community, socially aware, and civic active-minded congregation in the country. And I say that with a straight face. Not only is Bishop Ronnie Crudup Sr. the senior pastor of New Horizon Church International, but he is also the administrative bishop for the Fellowship of International Churches. Bishop Crudup is highly regarded as a compassionate pastor, a prolific scholar of the Bible, a dynamic preacher and teacher, a visionary leader, and a professional business leader. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome my friend, Bishop Ronnie Crudup, to Defining Moment. Bishop Crudup, welcome back to Defining Moments.
How could you not feel real good after an introduction like that from you, Larry? It is absolutely wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Well,
we were saying off camera, listen, as I said, it's just a joy to be invited, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very busy. He is very busy, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't abuse the access that he gives me to him. As a bishop, as senior pastor, he's very, very busy, and he's pulled on a whole lot. But for the fact that you continue to take my phone call, and I only try to call you for a couple of reasons. One, to let you know that I'm praying for you. Don't want anything. Goodbye. Or I need you for something, and particularly something that I think you would have an interest in. And you've always been very generous, knowing that you're very busy. You're pulled on all kinds of ways, but you've been very generous, and you've always been very accessible to me, and thank you for that.
Well, man, you listen. First, you're a friend, man.
Well, thank you.
You're a brother in the Lord. Our friendship goes way back, as the folks say, and you and your wife and family have been wonderful, authentic, godly folk. And so you treasure those kind of relationships. So, I tell folks all the time, the most important thing in life is relationships.
It is.
Relationship first with God, relationship with spouse and family, relationship with others. And so, when people like you call, man, listen, I gotta make a way, guy. I gotta make sure you do it.
I appreciate it, Bishop. I've said that it is important that you have people in your life that they are willing to tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. I've always said you would hope to have more than one, at least 2 or 3, but you would hope to have at least one person that will pull you down from the wall. That if you're having a tough season, that you're contemplating doing some irrational things, or you're just out of control, you would hope to have someone. And also, if you're going through a hard season, you would hope to have someone that you can call, or that would call you, and that would pull you off the wall, or that would give you a calm, that will give you wisdom, and that will give you direction. You've been that for me. But ministry is not easy. And so there was a season I was going through a hard season with my ministry, trying to make some decisions about what to do. I had people in my ear saying, you ought to do this. I had other people saying that you ought to do that. Saul has killed his 1,000, King David has killed his 10,000.
Absolutely.
You're better than this, and you're better than that. You're the best invention since inventions were invented. But it's important to have someone that you can call, that you trust, that will give you wisdom about some things that you're contemplating, and you have been that for me. And so I want to let you know, for the time that you invested in me, for the words of encouragement, for the countless phone calls, for the countless visits, you've always been that for me. You've always been one to listen, slow to speak. You've always been one to listen, and it seems that when I'm talking to you, you're praying and you're trying to analyze what I'm saying, and then you take time to give it back to me.
Well, I appreciate that greatly, brother, and it's a joy to be a brother with you, man.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for that.
The Bible says iron sharpens iron,
yeah.
And so it goes both ways, okay? And so thank you. And once again, thank you for this platform and the privilege to be on with you.
Well, when people consider Bishop Ronnie Crudup, man, that's a weighty title, Bishop Ronnie Crudup. People say, man, when I grow up, I want to be like Bishop Ronnie Crudup.
I want to know what they're asking for.
I want to be just like Bishop Ronnie Crudup. But I've had the privilege of hearing your testimony that when they drive to Mississippi, and they're driving through Mississippi, and they see this great, gigantic monstrosity of a building, your church, on a hill, you can't miss it. They say, oh my goodness. They assume that that's the way you started your ministry. They assume that you've been on television all your life. They assume that you've been bishop. They assume that you're highly called upon and you turn down invitations. But it hasn't always been that way. Did you give yourself over to ministry easily? Or for those of you that don't know your journey, your testimony, will you share that?
Sure. And once again, to this audience, just a pleasure to be here. Well, first, all beginnings start small.
That's good. That's good.
And mine certainly is that way. I did grow up here in Mississippi. Grew up in Jackson, in the Lanier area. Okay,
inner city.
Yeah, 833 area.
That's
okay?
right.
In terms of that, and come from some really good people. Mm-hmm. Intact. Mom and dad were there, but we also, my folks were business folks, and some of the businesses that they did were a little antithetical to the faith.
Okay. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. We ran some businesses that, are the things that we preach about.
That's right.
And so, particularly in the after hour side.
Okay.
My dad was a contractor. My mother, was an insurance salesperson and also worked for the old MAP government, quasi-government agency. But my father on the side also, ran cafes and we owned motels and all the things that comes with
sure.
that, okay? And though we went to church, like all good Mississippians do.
That's right.
On the other side of it, of course, you never got too close because it wasn't good for the business that we were involved in. And so that's kind of where I came from. And so, with that kind of exposure and things like that, then you see a lot of things, not always necessarily good for you. But God, by his grace.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lord.
You used the word sovereign.
Yes.
A little earlier. By his sovereign grace, called me to himself actually, I should say called me back to himself, because I actually gave my life to Christ when I was 12.
Really?
Yeah, I gave my life to Christ, and it wasn't an emotional experience, but it really was a decision of the will. But I didn't necessarily have a lot of help to sustain that environmentally. And so I kind of wandered off from that, but hallelujah, he never wanders off from us.
Come on.
He never left me. And part of my testimony, Larry, is that when I was in cafes and bars and other places of ill repute, he was there with me. And one of your show is Defining Moments. One of those defining moments was that I was in a nightclub, and I need people to hear this. As a youngster, and I heard a song that wasn't the song that was being sung by a band, because that was a live band. And you remember how loud?
Oh, loud! That's right. Loud. That's right.
But in the midst of all of that, I heard another song.
The band is playing.
The band is playing. They're doing a
particular song.
Yeah, they're doing a particular R&B type number and such as that. And I have this breakthrough experience, and I hear the song, "Yes, Jesus Loves Me."
Oh my goodness!
In the midst of this, and you got to understand, or the people got to understand that I was in that place with certain deviant intentions.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
I had things I had planned on doing that evening. That's right. But God had other plans. And so I heard this song, man, this serenade. God began to serenade me with
in
that
the nightclub.
Yes, sir. In the nightclub. And so listen, he can go wherever he wants to go. He is everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. And if you are his, he going to show up. It doesn't matter where you are.
That's encouraging.
Oh, man, it's changed. It's one of those things that changed my life. You know what I mean?
Bishop, put a pin there. Just put a slight pin there, because I feel compelled for you to reach into the camera, reach into the earphone, and encourage someone, because I sense that someone that is watching, they feel unworthy. They feel that they're still in the club, in the club life, that the life of ill repute, as you suggested, is their destination. What would you say?
I would say to you, my brother, my sister, that first, God loves you dearly. You know, one of the discoveries of mine is I just never recognized how much he loved me.
Wow.
Because I am guilty of doing a lot of ugly things at various points in my life. And I'm excited that he never gave up on me. In fact, I am where I am today only because he didn't give up on me.
My goodness.
And he drew me unto himself. And he'll do the same thing for you. He'll do the same thing for you. And so, you know, the Bible clearly says that God draws us out of the darkness into the marvelous light. And by the way, he doesn't draw people. He only draws people that's in the darkness. Because the reality is there aren't people who were born in the light. We've all been in the darkness. And so just because you're still in this place and you may feel real down and bad about that, doesn't mean that that's your ultimate destiny. In fact, the very fact that you are listening and you hear this today says that God really does have a wonderful plan for your life, and that he's going to bring about that change that he wants and you certainly desire.
You know, Bishop, when I hear this, I am encouraged because you're so transparent. People who really know you have heard your testimony, and they would say, okay, I've heard it. But I think sometimes we do a very bad job sharing with people that we are human and we are here. You were not born a bishop. You were not born the founder of New Horizon Church International, that you have a past, but you use that. All of the things that you've shared thus far, you use these as teaching opportunities.
Oh, yeah. Well, all saints have at one time been sinners. Come on. I mean,
that's powerful.
We've been brought to where we are. One of the scriptures I love in John is the word says, in John 10, it says that no man can come to the Son except the Father draw him. And that word draw in the Greek means drag.
Drag?
Yeah, it means drag, okay? And the reality is you and I didn't just come. He drug us. He did a deal, okay, on us.
He loved us so much that he had to drag us.
He determined he wouldn't leave us where we are. You know, this thought that we found him, that we came to him willingly, all of that's false, man. First, we were dead in our trespasses and sins, okay? He had to make us alive to even be able to respond. And so, you know, I like to tell folks, God had to do a step before you even had the inclination, theologically, to make a step. He had to affect your want to.
Wow.
To get there.
Wow.
And so for people out there that's still struggling, as long as you got a want to,
yes,
to get this right, even though you've not found that place exactly just yet, you haven't been able to give everything up, but the fact that you want to indicates that God is working with you and that your time is coming. Yeah, your time is coming, and you're gonna experience the fullness of what He wants to do in your life.
I don't want to be everywhere, and we'll go back and pick up where we left off. But for those people that would say, and you've probably heard it so many times, that let me fix myself up, Bishop, and I'll come to church. or let me get myself together, Bishop, and I'll come to church. For those people that are still making that same statement, when I fix myself up, when I get myself
you'll never
together,
get it right. You'll never
what
get
would
it
you
right.
say?
You'll never get it right of yourself. He's the ultimate fixer-upper. Okay?
Come on.
He's the one that really draws us and encourages us and tells us, get up out that bed and come on here.
Yes.
Okay? With all of your shortcomings and all of your unreadiness, he will take you and me and do something wonderful and awesome. So you and I are only ready because he has made us ready. And so to those people, just yield yourself. Yield yourself to his mighty hands and watch what he does.
Now that's a very profound way, the way you put that. Just yield yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, the biggest
very
hindrance,
profound.
the biggest hindrance in our lives is our rebellion and our disobedience, our self-will. Okay, because God's been doing great work in our life a long time. One of the great words in my life, I believe in Rhema words. God
Yes.
speaks to you. And one of the great words that God spoke to me once as he was kind of carrying me back in memory over some circumstance that had happened in my life. And I saw that and I said, wow, God, that was you. He said, what you don't recognize is I've been saving you all your life.
Oh my goodness.
Ever before you made a public confession, and you need to make a public confession. He said, listen, I've been saving you all your life. I did this. I was there. I drew you out of this. I got you out of this trouble. I've been invested in you.
Yes. Boy, that's encouraging.
Yeah. Years before you ever publicly, appeared in some of the places that you need to appear. And so for people out there, the reality is, listen, he's always been there, and he's going to bring you to where you need to get to.
All right, so I have a two-part question, and we're going to get back to where we left y'all, because I don't want to leave you in the club with the song, Yes, Jesus Loves Me. For those that would say, and this is a different kind of way of me asking it, because I said that some would say, well, let me get myself together and I'll come to church. But for those that would say, man, but don't you have to be a Christian to come to church? Number one. The second part of that is, man, I've been hurt by the church, and I don't want to go back there anymore. How would you respond to both of those?
Well, people that, that come to church are people that recognize they have a need.
Come on, Bishop.
You don't have to be a Christian.
Come on, Bishop.
The reality is the church is there to help you in your walk. Everybody comes with needs. I like that old song. I need thee, because the reality is we are all needy. I still need him. Okay, I mean I haven't got beyond the place where I don't have any needs, and so
Bishop Ronnie Crudup.
Oh, absolutely.
Needs the Lord.
Yeah, and so church is a place of help. And so every time I come to the church, okay, I'm helped. I'm helped by the environment. Certainly I'm helped by the music. I'm helped by the preaching. I'm helped by the fellowship. I'm helped by everything sensory that is there. And so I want to say to folks there, understand that the church is a place of help. And you don't have to have it all together. And I'm really happy about this. These days and times, you can come as you are. You don't have to dress up, okay? But come and get the help that God has for you, and don't cut yourself off from a tremendous blessing.
So now let's go back to the club. The band is playing one song,
Yeah.
but you're hearing in your soul, yes, Jesus loves me.
Absolutely. And
Yes, Jesus loves me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Jesus loves me, for the Bible tells me so.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick up there.
So, you know, and that song has become a great theme song for my life. And people that know me know that a lot of times when I come and pray for people in pretty desperate circumstances, I'll sing them that song as well.
Wow.
Because that thing is deep inside of me. And God uses it in a tremendous way. But, you know, that song at that particular moment was just to say, I'm here. And I know where you are. And I'm going to do powerful things for you. And also, by the way, all the stuff you playing tonight, you ain't doing that tonight, bro. Because, listen.
All of the conniving.
That's absolutely right.
It's not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen. Because once I heard that song in the midst of that, I had to leave. I was with other people and friends. I say, hey, guys, I got to go. And
they're like, what?
We just got here. What are you talking about? We got to go. Because I'm driving, too. Hey, listen. I got to go. I'm leaving.
You couldn't stay?
No, I couldn't stay.
So what is that? So what is that? You're such an inspirer. You are, when I'm around you, you're always inspiring thoughts. What is that to say? That is similar to say you provoked a thought. When the Lord has really touched you, you can't stay where you are.
No, you can't stay where you are. And you know, it makes you very reflective. You know, thoughtful about your circumstances, places where you are, what you're doing, all these kind of things like that. You know, it speaks to you that you matter, and that God really does have something for you. And
speaking of that, this is what God had for you.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things.
Because I asked you before we came on the set, I said, did you have an idea, the grandiose ministry, the international ministry that was inside of you?
No. You know, everything that's in me, He put in me. I mean, I am not anything of myself.
And to be clear, I've never seen you lobbying for any positions. As long as I've known you, I've never known you. All of the boards that you've sat on, that you sit on, people have wooed you. Yeah. I've asked you. I have never known you to lobby. If you are lobbying, you're lobbying for the people.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Larry, because I have an argument sometimes with some of my staff people and people that help me about marketing, okay? Because you're a marketer.
Right.
That I don't market enough. I don't do this. I don't advocate for myself in terms of things. But, you know, for me, if I belong to Him, and I belong to Him.
Talk.
If He has called me, and He has called me.
Yes.
You know, if He has His hands on me, and He has His hands on me, then it's about His direction, okay? And I'm not anti-marketing and all these things, but just for most of the circumstances in my life, you know, I've just been, Lord, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Okay? Should I get involved in this? And so, you know, that's kind of where I've always been. I'm not trying to be something, okay? You know, I'm not trying to be a bishop. I'm not trying to be a pastor. I'm not trying to be this and that. I just want to be God's child, okay? And as a child of God, then He opens up other doors for things. And so, you know, that's my goal, man. I want to be His, and I want to be one of those folks that He is pleased with.
To say, well done.
Oh, absolutely.
For those that have followed your ministry, you would hope others would learn lessons or take lessons from what you just said. If I am His and I am His, if he has touched me and he has touched me, then he has the plans. My responsibility is to follow his lead.
Absolutely.
Because your ministry in the United States sits inside of a renovated shopping center.
Well, here's an opportunity. I guess it's a good time because I want to correct you on something.
All right,
earlier,
please do.
Okay. Because you read a little bit of my bio, and I think you're aware, but you may not be aware, and I know a lot of these folks who are watching are aware, that I'm in a season of change in my life. I'm no longer the senior pastor of New Horizon Church. I gave it up. And so, I tell folks that God said, brought me into ministry. It brought me into the pastorate. It brought me into the bishopric. And God said to me that your time of being the senior pastor is over. I've got other things I want you to do. I want you to concentrate more on the bishopric side of things that you do, of helping others. I want to bring you back to some things that you were doing that has more about the body of Christ, or the kingdom of God in general, than your own particular circumstance. And so, as a part of that, I appointed Henry Joseph, you know Henry Joseph,
Yes.
as the now new senior pastor of New Horizon Church.
You're your spiritual son.
Right. And so he operates that deal there at the shopping center.
And I really knew that, and you shared that with me. But you got it for some. Like, wait a minute, how can he found this church, and it explode, and he says, God says, my season has ended here. You got to know that's foreign to a lot of ears, because you're moving, and from a natural standpoint, you're moving out of a good situation. But that speaks to you.
Yeah, well, it gets back to this deal that I'm a servant.
Yes.
He had me serving, being the pastor, okay, which is a wonderful, and has been a wonderful privilege. But now he wants me to serve in a little bit different capacity. Now, I'll always be around New Horizon and do things. I still have an office. I even gave him my office.
You gave up that office.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful. I enjoyed coming to the office. I felt like, man, I was in a palace somewhere.
Yeah, well, the Lord said, he said, you're no longer the senior pastor. So this has been coming, okay, for a while. We finally got to that place and installed Henry into that position. And as a part of that, I tell folks, I'm giving the office up. This is the senior pastor's office. Now, I have an office over there, but I moved to a smaller office. Okay?
I've not been to that office.
Yeah, and I'm not there as much, okay? So
Sure.
if you come there, I'm not there,
well,
if
and
you
quite,
will, intentionally as much. Now, you also know, and people need to know, that New Horizon has a second campus, actually in Rankin County.
In Rankin County, not far away from where I live.
Yeah, and so we're over here at 3097 Flowood Drive, almost to the corner of Flowood and Airport Road.
Yes.
Old Drake United Methodist Church. We bought that building, renovated it, and so it's called New Horizon Rankin, and so that's where we are. And so I still oversee that, but I do that more as an overseer.
Okay.
And because eventually I will appoint somebody
for that campus.
as well. But at this point, I'm there every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. If people want to come by. And it's a lot of fun because it's small. You know what I mean? I gave up the big deal.
It's almost like you're the the campus. It's a little smaller than the initial campus that you started.
Oh yeah, it's little.
Yeah.
Comparably, yeah. I mean, we've been in big spaces, okay.
Yeah.
But there's an intimacy in it that I just really enjoy.
I got that,
Yeah.
and where the Lord moved you to renovate that huge shopping center, it's mammoth. I mean, it held one of the largest grocery store chains in the region. You went in and renovated, but I've never sensed that you were moved by big rather than ministry.
It was all ministry because it was. I had a good friend of mine who's a real estate broker, big guy. You know, if I called his name, you'd know him. He told me, he said, Ronnie, I've been watching you. He said, and when you decided to go and buy the old Sack and Save, I said, you were insane, man. What? No, he said, first.
A lot of folks said that.
Yeah, he said, listen, this is what I do. This is a mammoth, deal, an undertaking. And if McCarty Holman and all of these folks can't keep this thing going,
what makes you think?
What makes you think you can do something with this? But I had a guy say it.
Oh.
I never shall forget when I went up to actually talk to the guy, because the experience there was that we were down the street. We were down the street.
Absolutely.
We had a campus down the street.
You were actually you were nestled in a neighborhood.
Absolutely, and we're having really good success down the street.
Great success.
Great success down the street. And so I'm always driving up Ellis Avenue, right? And as I drive up Ellis Avenue, the guy speaks to me. He says, look at that old Ragged Shopping Center. Because Ellis Isle at that point was pretty much closed up. When Dixie had been in there,
That's
after
right.
Sack and Save, and all that stuff was closed up. The place was just hanging on. The folks that were there, Big Lots was about to leave, and so the place was basically boarded up. And he said, look at that old Ragged Shopping Center. And he asked me a question. He said, would you rather have that old Raggedy Shopping Center, or would you rather have the brand new campus I'm going to build for you on the 70 acres that I've divinely gave to you? And I said, God, that really ain't fair. First, because you don't ask any questions you don't already know the answer.
Ooh.
And then secondly, you know me because you called me. You know that I am a restorer. I restore people and things.
Yes, yes.
And I'm always going to take the restoration project over the new stuff. Ooh. And he said, okay. He said, then I'm going to give you that old Raggedy Shopping Center. He said, because you can't even buy it. So go over there and talk to the handler, the guy that's dealing with the realtor, and he'll tell you what you need to do. And so after that, I follow up. I went over and found the guy that was the realtor for the shopping center, and I said, listen, can I talk to you about the shopping center? He said, sure, but he said, what's your interest? In fact, he said, you're a church guy, right? So yeah, you want to rent some space, you're looking to do something in part of this deal? I said, no. Isn't the shopping center for sale? He said, yeah. He said, but what in the world would a church want with this shop? He said, you know how many acres and square feet in this place and how big this place is? I said, yeah. He said, well, what in the world would a church want with this shopping center? I said, man, I'm just following what the Lord told me to do. He said, then in that case, He said, here's the process. You can put in a sealed bid. It's got to be in by so-and-so and so-and-so, and come with your sealed bid, and you can do what everybody else can do. You can make a bid on this facility. That's what we did. And, over the period of time, over a few weeks, I got to talk to him a couple of times, and we got a lot friendlier. And he said to me, did I ever tell you why this shopping center is available? I said, no. He said, well, it's not that other people aren't interested in this shopping center. There's other people that's interested in this shopping center. In fact, there was a shopping center magnate that wanted to purchase this shopping center from the owners, and he made them a lowball offer, so low that they were offended by his offer, and they told him they didn't want to talk to him anymore. And he then turned around and decided, listen, I know you want to sell this and you got other properties. I'll buy this, give you the appraised value for this and some other facilities that you own. I'll buy them all because I know y'all trying to get out of business. And, and they said to him, no, you offended us. We don't want to talk to you. And while he's saying all that, I'm sitting here thinking, I said, wait a minute, I'm a church.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
As a church, we specialize in a lowball offer.
That's right.
or a gift, right?
That's right.
We're looking for a gift. And so after that conversation with him, then the first thing you want to know is, well, what did he offer them
that offended them?
Absolutely.
Because you're a church.
Because I'm a church.
You're
absolutely.
Church.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. And you need to know that the shopping center is approximately 23 acres on one of the highest hills in Jackson, Mississippi. Remember, ain't no mountains in Mississippi. Okay?
That's right.
Hills. Highest hills in Jackson, Mississippi. One of the tremendous traffic count that is still there. About 350,000 square feet of space that is sitting there. Not only what people see, the frontage, Sack and Save, old Walmart
there's a whole
used
lot
to
in
be
the back.
there. The old theater used
That's
to
right,
be
a movie
there.
theater.
All of those kind of things like that as a part of that. And so, just a lot that is there. And then in the midst of that conversation, he says, because I got my bid with me, right? We're having this conversation. And he said, well, what is your bid? And I said, man, I'd hate to say.
Yeah, that's right.
In light of the fact, I don't want to offend
That's right. I don't want.
Long story short, you know what my bid was, or our bid was? It was the exact same price that the folks was offended over.
Wow.
Exactly what this guy had offered them and offended them was the price, was my bid. Yeah, that's my bid. And so yeah. And so when I told him, because it's still sealed, but we friendly enough to talk about it, he said, well, I'm sure they're not going to take your bid. But you put it's sealed, I have to turn it in. Okay? But they're not going to take your bid. They've already turned this down. I said, fine. I said, well, listen, man, I'm doing what the Lord
I'm doing what the Lord, that's right,
told me to do.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Because I think that's a teachable lesson. Some folk would have been discouraged and said, well, just forget about it. But you remain defiant. I'm just doing what the Lord told me to do, and you stood on that. What lesson could you share out of that with those people that are watching?
Well, let me say first, I don't know if defiant is the right word, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm sitting here strong in terms of this. You know what I mean? But I do understand that God spoke to me.
Yes.
He said, remember, he told me, you can't even buy it. I'm going to have to give it to you. Right? I'm doing what he told me to do. I mean, the only reason I'm here doing this at that point was because he told me to do it. Now, I also need to back up and say this for people to understand. I lead a group of people. I got leaders, okay? I have a board I report to. I have members who were really upset with me. that I would go and try to buy this old ragged shopping center. Okay? Who told me they were upset with me, because sometimes people think I do whatever I want to do. Nobody says whatever.
That's right. That's right.
No, that's not the case. I'm not a dictator at all, okay?
Yeah.
And so people were upset because before Sack and Save, we were planning to build a brand new facility someplace else.
I know
you
it
remember?
well.
Yeah, because God had divinely given us 70 acres of land.
And the land was a beautiful land.
Oh, the story is amazing. We
Yeah.
don't have time for that one. And so when people, and I tell folk like new buildings.
Yeah, that's right.
And I do too, okay?
Yeah.
But when God changed the circumstance in the midst of that, and I have to give credit to my elders around that, is that they went with the word I gave them of what I felt God was saying, okay? And not with what everybody wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here, and this guy's saying, it ain't gonna happen. They're not gonna accept what they've already rejected. And so mine then has to be, well, I'm doing what he said.
That's right.
That's all I can do.
That's all you can do.
And if it doesn't come to pass, I'm going back to the 70 acres, and that probably would be some people that's happy, because they probably was praying anyway that this thing would fail.
That it didn't work out.
Yeah, that it didn't work out. And so a few weeks went by, as the process goes, and the realtor called me and said, Ronnie, he said, he cursed a little bit.
Yeah.
He said, it wasn't a darn thing that's happening. He said, the other D word.
Yeah.
That happened. And he said, I ain't never seen nothing like this before. I said, what you never seen? He said, the owners said they are really intrigued as to why in the world would a church be interested in this shopping center. They can't understand it. They're intrigued by it, but they have decided to accept your bid.
Oh my goodness.
They want me to tell you that your bid was way lower than they wanted. And if they weren't so intrigued about what God wanted to do in this, they
would have offended them. They would not want to talk to you anymore.
Absolutely. But they have said, listen, they're going to accept your bid, and within a month, we're going to close. And so then all I had to do was get the money up, because I didn't have it. To buy it. And we did. And so that's how we got into the shopping center.
And you were only doing, the lesson is follow God. It didn't mean that you were not tentative yourself,
right,
nervous yourself, hesitant yourself, because you're human. And it's just like you said a moment ago, you don't want to come off as so defiant and so resolved that you're not feeling human emotions yourself.
Or super spiritual, though.
Yeah.
Hey, I know God, and no. I mean, come on. This is it is a walk of faith, but I'm also humbled by the whole deal. I didn't know it was going to go that way. I mean, all I had was a God said. Okay, and He said you can't buy it, and I don't want people to think that we didn't pay some. We paid some serious money for it. Okay, I don't want to get into exactly how much it was. But it was more than $1 million, I'll tell you that, okay? So we paid some serious money for the facility. But God said, you can't buy it. We couldn't have afforded it. God is the God that gives you what you cannot afford. If you are obedient to Him, He will open doors and do exceedingly abundantly above what you could ask or think. I mentioned this earlier. I have people come to me and said, did you used to shop in Sack and Save? I said, sure. Such group, I shop in Sack and Save. Say, well, when you were walking those aisles, did you ever sense that one day this would be yours, that God would let you give this to you? What people, people interesting, Larry. They say, "Hey, where the pulpit is, that's the area back where the meat market was." Did you know that would be the meat spiritual? I'm like, heck no.
Yeah,
it's
Let's
too
just
big.
Be real. Yeah,
come on, let's be real. It's too big. Don't ever over spiritualize this thing. Listen, I wasn't even dreaming of anything like that. I mean, some things are beyond your wildest dreams. God will bring you into stuff that's so big you wouldn't have ever been able to ask that. You'd been ashamed to ask it. Too much.
You just said, and I wrote it down, and this is one of those defining words that I remember, that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, that you said, God will give you what you can't afford.
Absolutely.
That is powerful.
That's been my life, man.
God will give you what you can't afford. I don't know what the appraised value, and you don't have to respond to it. In fact, I don't even want you to respond to it. But that appraised value, if not then, now has to be over $30 million, $30, $40, $50 million. That's prime property.
It is
from what the naked eye see for the 5, 10, 15 seconds that you pass by on a major interstate.
No,
you can't go to Texas. You can't go to Georgia or Alabama without passing your church.
It is a piece of property that's worth a lot. I like to tell folks it's not worth as much as sometimes you would think because of where it is.
Sure.
It's in South Jackson.
That's right.
And so because of problems in South Jackson, the value comes down a little bit. But it is it has a lot of worth and value to it, which we're excited about. And so, yeah.
So we showed the picture earlier, New Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
When God took you out of the nightclub and you started your journey, he not only took you out of the nightclub, but he took the nightclub out of you.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So
got my people out of that business altogether. Yeah.
And your people out of the business.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the name New Horizon, and how did you come up with the name New Horizon Church International?
Well,
when you take a bishop, when you take a look at this,
yeah.
How do you feel? What do you see, Bishop?
I'm thankful to God because I know it's a God thing. It's not a Ronnie Crudup thing. I don't take any credit. It's all about him. He has literally led me and drugged me.
That's powerful.
All the way, okay? And I'm somebody that does not over-spiritualize things. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very prayerful person, okay? Because people ask me sometimes, Larry, they say, who are you? I say, I'm a prayer intercessor.
You're a prayer intercessor.
That's absolutely right. When God says you're no longer going to be the senior pastor, then I had to deal with even more, who am I? Okay? And so, I know as the apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher, and all those kind of things, but when it really comes down to who am I? I'm a prayer intercessor. Yeah, I believe God hears and answers prayer. And when you pray, he'll do some absolutely amazing things. So I am where I am because he's done it. We prayed and he's responded and believed and trusted, and he's done amazing things. So
I asked you the question a moment ago, how did you come up with the name New Horizon?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Well,
that inspiration.
Yeah, and people didn't know. I was pastoring before New Horizon. So New Horizon is 38 years old. I was actually pastor of my wife's home church. Okay.
Yeah, we showed a picture of her earlier.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been married.
Well, good Lord willing, this December the 21st, we'll be married 51 years.
So I wonder, and I asked you the question, beautiful lady, did she have any inkling that you would drag her all over the world? Did she have any inkling that when she married you, you would be dragging her all over the world with ministry like this?
No. Because, when we got married, I wasn't a preacher either, okay, at that particular point. Now, she's a PK. She's a preacher's kid.
Okay, yeah.
Father's a pastor, and she's a wonderful woman of faith herself. But I wasn't thinking about preaching, doing anything like that. I was working. In fact, I was working for the telephone company, man, when I met her. And try to make a good career of that, and the Lord was blessing, and God had other plans. I had a pretty divine call. I didn't call myself. I didn't have no desire to be preaching. Okay, my desire was to be financially successful and stable, and I was on my way. Money has always come to me, if you will. And so I was doing pretty well. But God intervened in that as well and called me to preach his word. And that's what's called heritage of the Lord. On my mother's side, my grandfather was a preacher.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so there's a lot of heritage in the Lord there. And I had some great aunts who used to say to me, if I close my eyes, you sound just like your granddad. And so, it's pretty amazing what God does. But he called me to himself. And when he called me, he told me what kind of preacher I would be. He said, you're not going to be the traditional preacher. Okay. You're going to be a restorer. Okay. That restoration word. He knew that I didn't like hypocrisy. And to make the word of God relevant to people. And he also told me this. He said, when you're ready, I'm going to make you pastor of your wife's church.
Pastor of your wife's church.
Home church. Yeah, he gave me that word.
So New Horizon, as you alluded to earlier, that wasn't your first church. You were pastoring prior to New Horizon.
So I was pastoring Mount Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, which was my wife's home church. And once again, God said, and God brought me into that circumstance, told me I didn't have to fight nobody to become pastor. The pastor of the church actually, he got into a fight with the deacons over some circumstance and got angry, and it was dramatic. Threw his
oh my goodness,
his resignation papers on the pulpit and said to the folk, if you want me, you're gonna have to stand up. One of the deacons raised up and said, I vote we accept his resignation. Another said, I second that, and said, all in favor of him resigning and stand up. The whole congregation
Oh
stood
my
up.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
They said, cut him his check, get his stuff, clear his office out. Boom.
And that's it. Boy, you're talking about a defining moment.
That was a defining moment. They came to me a little bit after that and said, listen, we're gonna let you, they use the interim word, but basically you're gonna be the interim, but we're not gonna call you
pastor.
We're not going to call you. You too young. You can't tell us nothing. But remember, I had a God said.
Yeah, oh,
right.
God said.
So when you got a God said, you ain't got to argue.
All right, listen.
Right?
Hold that point. Hold that point. It's important to have defining moments, and in fact, our Kyle Reno speaks to that today. In his defining moment episode. I want you to pause that thought, and we'll be right back in just a second after Kyle Reno's message with Cross Gates. Stay tuned.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, Senior Pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
What things are in your life that are improper or shouldn't have place anymore? Keep going. Verse 6, it says, let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore do not become partners with them. partners with him. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Pay attention, man. These words matter. He just told us, man, those things aren't proper. They shouldn't have place. And now he's saying, hey, make sure you don't partner with people that are going to hinder and harm your work, what God wants to do in your life. Anyone in our day, by the way, can have a megaphone to your mind. Here's the question: who are you going to let in? I look to specific on the next generation that's in the room. I would ask you, man, right now, what feeds do you need to shut down? Because if you're giving people, listen to me, in this world a platform in your mind, the enemy will use it to transform the way you see God, the way you see the world, the way that you see yourself. It says partners with them. For you at once were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. We need to be willing to pursue people. We need to be willing to pursue people in light of reaching them. But we better be careful to partner with anyone.
Hey, thank you for taking some time to listen to that defining moment from this last week. If you'd like to listen to the sermon in its entirety, you can go to crossgates.org, and we would love to have you visit with us any week on any of our Sunday experiences or our midweek opportunities. I'd encourage you this week to take some time and really think about what moments right now are defining your destination. God has more in store for you. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, welcome back to Defining Moments. My guest today is Pastor Bishop Ronnie Crudup. My goodness, he was talking about his evolving into ministry and how God placed him into ministry. Even with the church, he was serving as an interim position, but they told him that you're not going to serve as pastor, but he was in a God-said moment. I want you to pick up from there. Let's pick up from there, Bishop.
Yeah, so you know, and so my wife, of course, this is her home church. Her dad is a pastor himself of another church, but one of the sons of the house. Her grandfather was the chair of the deacons. Okay? So, you know, had an uncle that was also a deacon, you know, bunch of other really good folks, you know, family, center deal, and other people in the community. And so, you know, so her grandfather said to me, listen, we want you to just be prepared to preach. We're going to invite people in here, and you're going to, you know, do all the other things so that all the preacher that day has to do is preach, right? You'll carry the service, but
you'll facilitate the
work. Yeah, I'll facilitate. But in case something happens and that person's not here, you're preaching. So be prepared to preach. But probably it's not going to happen very much. We know we're going to have a whole lot of folks that's going to come in to be this, and we've set 6 months as a time frame that we're going to look at other people and then call the pastor. So I said, "What do you say?" I said, "Yes, sir." Right? So your elders, right? But I got God said.
Oh.
And so when the guy at the shopping center told me they ain't gonna accept your bid, this is not my first rodeo, Larry. Right? I got God said, and if something else doesn't look right, then that ain't my issue. This is on God.
I'm going to put a pin there. As I have tracked you, as I have watched you, you know, people constantly putting the microphone under your face when Jackson or Mississippi is going through some hard seasons, whatever that is, whatever that hard season is. But you at no time have ever appeared out of control. Situations may have been out of control, but you have always seen as someone that's constant, someone with a calm voice, and someone is reliable. And now it makes sense that you are a praying man, but you have this God said kind of mentality over you.
Well, he's proven himself. And I want people to know that, you have to experience it for yourself. Because the truth is, God speaks to all of us. I like to tell folks, 4 things speak to us. God speaks to us. The enemy speaks to us. Other people speak to us. We speak to ourselves. Right? And so you need to know the voice of God, right? Because the voice of the enemy is going to come, and what does the enemy sound like? It sounds like God,
Yes.
right? You know the voice of other people, and then you need to know your voice inside of yourself. But if you're his, my sheep hear my voice, okay? He's going to speak to you because you are his, and he's going to tell you what he wants. So he gives you God says too. You just got to get in touch with what that is.
So this deacon is telling you, chances are you won't preach much. We're not even call you. Don't get overly excited. But then you have this God said inside of you.
So what happens is over the 6 months, and at that time the church was some people remember it was a second and fourth Sunday.
Yes,
church.
right.
Remember the old part-time.
Part-time. That's right.
Yeah. So at that point the church was second and fourth. And they had a youth Sunday on third Sunday, and I was already preaching the youth Sunday on third Sunday, okay? That's another story about that too, but I won't go into it. But, and so they set the 6 months, and they invited all of these folks in, but over 6 months, only 2 people showed up.
They invited all these folk in, but only 2 people showed up.
Something always happened. And they couldn't show up. So who preached?
You did.
I did. And so at the end of, and I'm already preaching also third Sunday. So now I'm preaching second Sunday, third Sunday, fourth Sunday. And so they call a church meeting, and this is relevant, so I'm bringing this in. And the deacon said, listen, we kind of had a disaster, and we don't know what has happened, but we've not been able to find anybody, so maybe we need to reopen this process up. And we just don't know. I'm just sitting over there, right? And one of the ladies in the church stood up and said, can I ask a question? I said, yeah. Say, so we've been in this 6 months, hadn't been able to find anybody, things hadn't gone right, and you're talking about reopening it up. I got a question. Well, they said, what's the question? So what about him?
Oh, good. And that him is you.
You, yeah. What about him? And the deacon said, no. We already told him he's not in this running. He's too young. I'm 25 at that point. He's too, and I look probably 19.
Yeah, right.
He's too young. He can't tell us nothing. And the lady said, well, I don't know about anybody else here, but I like his preaching. And I don't know anybody else here, but have y'all noticed the church has been growing since he's been preaching? And some other folks shaking their head and say, yeah, I like his preaching too. And so with that, another person stood up and said, this is a duly noted church meeting of the church, right? Called, right? And that we can make a motion.
Oh, goodness. Here we go.
Okay. According to Robert's Rules of Order, and you had to carry it. And they say, well, yeah. They say, I move, we elect him as pastor of the church.
Wow. They didn't see that coming.
The deacon said, no. We got a motion. If you don't want it, you need to go through
the proper
procedure, and you can vote it down. So I got a motion. Somebody else said, I second the motion. Deacon said, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of him, Ronnie Crudup, being the next pastor of New Horizon. I'm sorry, Mount Galilee Missionary Baptist Church. Stand up. Everybody stood up except 7 folks.
Oh, my goodness. They didn't expect that.
And the majority of them were deacons. Even some of the deacons stood up. And that's how I became pastor of Mount Galilee Missionary Baptist Church.
Because you had a God said.
Because I had a God said. So that's been my life. And so when God said, hey, the old raggedy shopping center, I put it in his hands.
Like, okay.
Because he's got to move. So when God said, your season as senior pastor is up. What do you do?
He has led you to this point. You're right. Why do you change courses now?
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you this. Now I'm going to ask you to come back. Because this, I could go like 5 hours. Some of this I did not know. As well acquainted as I am with you, I did not know some of the story. But I want to talk about you being bishop.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Fellowship of International Churches.
Yeah.
The Mid-South Diocese. How did that happen? Because you're currently serving as the active administrative bishop now, aren't you?
Yeah. So
So how does that happen?
Yeah. So New Horizon, in its history, when we started, it was New Horizon Baptist Church.
Right.
We then determined that we had a historic issue, and the issue exactly who we were, because we were not operating as a Baptist church. And so we decided to drop Baptist from our name. It just became New Horizon Church.
Become who you are anyway.
Yes, season. Okay, and that's not against anybody. It's just who we were.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we were independent for a lot of years. And then we determined it's not good to be out here by yourself, and I'll say that to people, it's not. And that we needed to find a place, that we could be a part of, that was similar to us theologically and otherwise, and such as that. And we found the Fellowship of International Churches as that place. And so we joined. And over a period of time, we got really involved, and they decided and asked me if I would become one of their bishops.
Wow.
And so I was elected as a bishop in the Fellowship of International Churches, and the diocese is called the Mid-South Diocese of the Fellowship of International Churches.
Do you have to pinch yourself sometime and say how do you? Because when people read your resume, because you not only serve as bishop, you served as senior pastor, but you're serving now as like campus pastor of the it's not Satellite Church, it's another
Campus,
church, it's
right.
another campus. But also you serve on several boards, significant boards. You're part of you've been part of transitional teams for mayors.
Yeah, I'm an advisor to Mayor John Horn.
Yeah.
At this point.
And people just constantly pull on you. How do you, and I've never seen you say no. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, you learn to say no. Because you can't say yes to everything.
So what's your staying power, if I can crouch it that way?
Well, I only want to be where
That's good.
where God wants me to be,
that.
and that there's grace for that. Because if I'm somewhere, then to me that means I bring the grace and the influence that God has given to me to be a part of that. And so, I'm a part of some things. I'm on the board of Merritt Central Hospital.
Yes.
And appreciate being there. I'm on the board of Hope Enterprise
Yes.
Corporation that runs Hope Community Credit Union, among other things that it does. I'm on the board of Working Together Jackson and Working Together Mississippi, and I'm on the board of. In fact, I'm the chair of the board of Downtown Jackson Partners.
Yes.
Which is the central business district
Right.
of downtown Jackson, and so, those are some of the boards that I'm on.
But it seems as though all of the boards that you've named and all of the previous boards, it is part of your DNA, which is being an activist. From the standpoint, you're always advocating for people.
Now, that's a great word too, because I am an activist. Okay, and I'm sitting here, since I said what I'm on, I guess I need to add the other two. I'm on the board of a group called TELUS that does Israeli-Palestinian issues.
Wow.
Been doing that for 15
Now,
years.
I know you've been involved in that.
Yeah, in that. And I'm on the board of a place called Mooney Strategies that does tax credit deals for businesses, across the state of Mississippi. So those are things I'm doing. But yeah, I'm an activist. Larry, I'm a change agent.
Yeah.
As a part of that, I believe every Christian is called to be a change agent, okay? Because God left us here to be light in the midst of the darkness, to bring all things to the light, to make things better. And so you get there by advocating. You get there by being active.
And howbeit, you've stood up in some hard seasons, and you've stood up in some unpopular things.
Oh, yeah.
But it was for the good of people. Politically, people were fighting back and forth, and you were standing in the middle, saying what you believe to be true according to God's word. And people have to respect that and appreciate that.
Well, I belong to him.
Yes.
I don't belong to me. And so I'm always going to do what Jesus would do. Okay?
Period.
We're preaching out of Ephesians, the book of Ephesians right now, and we're in Ephesians 5. And Ephesians 5 says, be imitators, therefore be imitators of God as dear children. The word imitator means, in the Greek, it's mimic, okay, a follower. All I can do is do what Jesus does or would do. And so if it's around Israeli-Palestinian issues, I'm going to do what Jesus...
You got to do it.
I'm going to do what Jesus would do, okay? And so, that's probably the latest one that gets me in more hot water than anything else, in terms of that, because that's a hot bed issue, particularly in Christendom at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll say this to people, hey, I'm pro-Israeli, but I'm also pro-Palestinian. I'm pro-peace.
You're pro-peace.
And so I'm gonna take Jesus' side.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of that, but that's on everything else too. And so if I'm involved in it, I'm gonna bring Jesus.
Yeah. You always.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring Jesus into it. And so, it's kind of like with the mayor. A lot of folks know I supported John Horn because I believe I had a God said that he was supposed to be mayor. I mean, Jackson's in a mess. And as I looked, who could be the person, and so I want people to know John's a spiritual guy. So we get real spiritual, man. We talk a lot about what the Lord wants, man.
You are calm. Your voice is calm. When I consider storms and I see your voice and I hear your voice is calm. We only have about a minute left. I want to thank you again for giving me access to your schedule, because I know how very busy you are. But I have enough respect and honor for you that I want to give you the last word, to just use about 30 seconds to encourage people from the sentiment of God said. And if it looks too big, if God said it, he's not looking for your resources. He's looking for your obedience. Will you just close us out with a word of encouragement?
I want to say to everybody out there, we're in a very dark moment in America's history. We're torn. At the end of the day, it has to be what God has said and what he wants, and not your culture, not your race, not your gender, not your political affiliation, any of these things. All of those things will tear us apart and destroy this country. But if we will do what Jesus would do, and this is particular to the folks who name the name of Christ, then the reality is you and I we got to please God. We got to do what Jesus would do. And so, Only do what Jesus would do, not what people are saying. Sometimes even people in church will lead you to the wrong place. Hey, we have a book that guides us. It's the Bible. Stay with it. And if we do, we'll be victorious.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us. Our only motivation is to inspire you with hope for life. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.